Sandi Siegel, president of Dey Company. We are a customs broker and freight forwarder providing international trade services to Wisconsin business.
And I'm Coxhead. I'm a professor of applied economics at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and a specialist in U.S. trade with East Asia. So Sandi, big news this week. The WTO finally brought down its ruling on the U.S. tariffs applied to China since 2018, and they declared them illegal. So what does that mean for Wisconsin businesses?
Well, the ruling caught everybody by surprise. Obviously, there are a lot of businesses in trade that are, trying to fight these tariffs. So what we've become aware of, there was a court action, a lawsuit filed on, I believe it was the 10th, September 10th, that is collecting names of importers, and importers can get their name on the list. So, a little bit of a class action, if you will. And if the lawsuit is successful and this ruling, that the U.S. trade acted outside of their boundaries is what the lawsuit is saying. And to be clear, it wasn't on all of the various lists and the various duties imposed to China. As you may recall, there were various rollouts. There were 4 lists. So in particular, this lawsuit was filed for list 3 and list 4A, which is still tens of billions of dollars of collected China duties. So if successful, the importers essentially would get duty refunds on all of those goods. So the deadline for importers to get on the lawsuit is September 18th. So not really, 8 days for importers to act quickly. And I can tell you that our phone is ringing quite a bit in questions on that.
Well, it must be worth a great deal to a number of heavily affected firms in the Wisconsin and in the upper Midwest as well. But help me out here, Sandi. If the court case is successful, who's going to pay?
That will be refunded by, department, the Treasury, Customs will then in fact have to refund all of the duties collected. And as I think you might be aware, and most importers that were affected by the China duties certainly are, there have been other avenues after these China duties were rolled out that allowed for some refunds. So there were exclusions issued on particular products, and that relieved importers of those China duties if they met certain qualifications, if they could prove the goods really couldn't be imported or produced somewhere other than China. And so in fact, trade, the trade reps were giving them some time to adjust businesses. But those exclusions are all expiring by the end of this year. So if the China tariffs continue into uncertainty, those, the duties will pick up again in January. So there's still a lot of money at risk, a lot of money on the table for importers to recover, even if they were taking advantage of some of these exclusions. So we're really encouraging, everybody who was on list 3 and list 4A to, and that was, more of the finished goods, to file, be a part of this lawsuit.
But the bottom line is, as you tell it, the bottom line is that if this court case is successful, then U.S. taxpayers are going to be back on the hook for maybe billions of dollars to refund to these firms. Is that correct? It depends on your philosophy a little bit and what they're doing with the duties they're collecting today. And I think that's been a gray area. Some have argued it's a big revenue maker, and others have said it's insignificant on the billions of dollars we've collected. No one's really clear where the money is going and how it's being used. And of course, as I've said, with exclusions and many of these other avenues, a lot of it has been refunded. So there's just that much more of it that will be refunded. I see. Wow, it's going to be a messy business. How do you rate the chances of success of this court case?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I guess I'll say that. It's, again, they're focused, the lawsuit and the finding with WTO is specific to the list. So, these trade laws are so complicated in that these, those specific rulings were outside of the jurisdiction for, the WTR to rule on, while the first lists were okay. So I'm not sure what the subtle differences are in that regard, but it'll be very interesting. And I suspect, when it's ruled, it will not be settled in the short term.
And then, of course, coming back to the WTO, the capacity of that organization to resolve this case is also very heavily in doubt now, isn't it? Because since the US government has refused to appoint judges to the appellate court that the WTO runs, there's really no place for this case to go from here.
Right. Yes. So and these are matters, I think, outside of yours and my expertise, and I think there's a lot of politics involved as well. So it will be interesting to see. So
that's right.
I look forward to chatting with you about it further when it's settled.
We'll keep a watching brief on this one. It's going to be fun. Thank you, Sandi.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Ian. Good to see you.
This was Talking Trade with Sandi Siegel and Ian Coxhead, and we're signing off now.